Hey there.
Hey there.
Hey, so my dad wrote me into giving you guys a short talk. So obviously, I heard my intro. I feel like he gave me justice. I'll kind of just give a few minute high level overview of kind of my experience with AI and what I think the best mindset is to have around it when approaching business. So as my dad mentioned, my main experience with AI is just like my hobby is just building neural networks, which is essentially allowing AI to learn like humans. And I think uh, the headline of this kind of short talk would be that business is optimization, and optimization is just pattern recognition. So I'll kind of break that down. Pattern recognition is something that is just fundamental to us as humans. Primarily, we learned that like we should build our civilizations near rivers because it's better for survival, because we can get water easily, we can grow crops, and we can also trade and travel much easier on the river. A simple little understanding the act of living near a river leads to higher survival. It's just understanding those patterns in our world. Now we know that we shouldn't touch hot stoves, right? Because when you touch it, it hurts. We know that to make money, we have to get college degrees. And we also know that Elon Musk controls our economy with tweets. And so pattern recognition is a fundamental part of how we actually have intelligence as humans. Pattern recognition is fundamental for intelligence. And in all areas, in my understanding, I think I would rely on AI way more for everything that has to do with it for a few reasons. One, it's unbiased and unemotional. It doesn't get really mad when driving and try to like crash its car into someone else. Also in investing, it doesn't get super anxious when the stock goes down. It can understand, oh, I just have to hold on to it and not care until it goes back up. It never lets emotion cloud the rational decision. It never sleeps, and it never complains about higher wages. And in all those ways, AI is a fantastic tool for deploying pattern recognition for business optimization. And now let's get to that part. So I believe probably the best way to conceptualize it is through a few case studies or examples that you can think about. One that comes to me is TikTok. So TikTok is, as you've probably heard about, probably the biggest video platform that has ever existed. And the reason it's so amazing is because users every day spend hours giving TikTok thousands of videos and that they either like or ignore, which tells them what kind of videos they like. And an AI then can unbiased and having an intelligence far above anything a human could do, can give users the videos that they would like more to get them hooked on it, to get them watching more, and TikTok sells more ads. Secondly, Google Ads, when you look at like news, you see that you'll probably like look up like a shoe and then like 2 days later, all you'll see in Google Ads is like that shoe, because Google has such an efficient AI to look through it, never sleeping, never complaining, and know exactly what to cater to you. And lastly, I think what gets more into the human error part of it is real estate. I think my dad mentioned that I help run the self-storage. And something I've really realized is how insane it is that all the prices for self-storage that people sell is just arbitrary. It's just like, oh, I think that we should sell this for like $50 a month because like that's what other people are doing. It's not backed by data. It's not backed by what's the market rate and what's like the max market rate that the data shows that you could even charge. What would individual customers pay based on their background? What in the area is kind of the general trend for how to raise rates or how to change rates around to get a lot of conversion and a lot of retention. No, it's just kind of like, oh, I have a gut feeling like maybe we should raise it. And I think in this, AI just shows the fantastic ability to slice through human arbitrariness, slice through human inefficiency, and be able to give you as close as there is to this like true answer of like, what is the best solution for this problem? And finally, I think the formula to kind of think about this optimization for AI comes down to two parts, which is one, is there a lot of collectible data that is available? Think TikTok. TikTok has millions of users always liking and not liking photos. So much data to choose from. And two, is there human error that can be addressed? Either currently present, like in real estate, or potential, like in Google, where you could lock like me in a room and like pay me like 16 bucks an hour to like try to recommend ads to people, but I would never be as good as at it as an AI could be, with like a superhuman understanding to be able to conceptualize all the patterns and a relentless drive to achieve the best results. So I think whenever you approach any business, or whenever you look at a problem that could be addressed by AI, if there's data that can be collected and a clear facet where human error is either causing a diminishing in the amount of returns that you could get, like pegging prices, or has potential to make it even better because humans just can't perform, then AI is going to be your best solution.
So where do you see AI in the area of medicine, in healthcare?
Yeah, so I think AI has, I mean, it's nearly infinite. I feel like looking at people's search patterns to understand if they're maybe searching for certain symptoms, and then AIs can recommend them certain drugs or target at them certain prices or offers. Like maybe we know that middle-aged white women that live in like San Diego will always take up this offer, or like the AI finds this. No one else could find this in the data, but the AI finds that middle-aged white women in San Diego will always take up an additional aspirin on top of just buying their like, this other generic that they're adding. And then the AI is like, oh, you should definitely recommend just like half off the aspirin if they come to your marketplace. Just so many different upsells and marketing ways that the AI can recognize these patterns that we could never understand. Yeah, I mean, like even for doctors, like obviously doctors aren't perfect, and they can look, like 3 doctors can look at the same x-ray and tell you have like cancer, tuberculosis, and like AIDS or something. Like obviously there's a lot of variability in that too that AI can help. And even like, I've been talking with my dad a bit about this. I think the future of therapy is probably AI too. If you understand person-to-person therapy, it's just a therapist being able to relay the right experiences to you for you to be able to conceptualize and understand what you're going through. So what if an AI could know the perfect thing to say for you to be able to reach that clarity and become a happier, healthier, more whole person as a whole? Because they could have the data of all these conversations and understand it in a way no one else could.
They're starting to do that now with certain apps, that therapy apps.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. It's kind of scary because it's definitely Pandora's box. Because we can ask you like, what do you like? Why are you doing this? It's like, I don't know, I want to.
How does that work, Mark? How does that work? AI in therapy? I don't.
Well, I mean, they do it in a couple different things, and I've heard some presentations from startups. One is, from basic to like, they're able to create videos of people's faces and doing, responding to common questions. That's one. The other thing is like chat bots, where people, the variety of mental issues, it's finite, right? It's not an infinite number of things, so you can come up with all of these different answers and responses, The thing that I have a challenge with AI is, the biggest AI that we work with is Google AdWords, right? And, but the thing is Google will, I tell you, they're coming down to the end of a quarter, they'll crank up their pricing. And it's not like it's frustrating because you think you use this technology to get better value, but they'll adjust the logarithm to make more money, right? And it's counterproductive sometimes. That's the problem with the big corporations. They're just so monopolistic that a lot of these technologies are going to be developed for their own benefit and not necessarily the consumer.
Well, I think that's to Hunter's point around the pricing, right? Like the airlines and hotels use AI for sure on pricing. I forget the term they call it, but if it's like Uber, right? Anyone that's used Uber, when it starts raining and there's more demand, the price goes up. Like that's their AI algorithm like noticing it and making those smart decisions. And,
Mhm.
you know, and Hunter's point on self-storage, yeah, we're just kind of looking at the competitors' pricing, go, okay, we can be a little bit under and still maybe raise our prices, but it's all just arbitrary. Where we should have AI software that says, okay, this person came in, they definitely need a storage unit. This is what we're going to charge them because it's high season, you know, and then the price drops down. I forget, what do they call that? It's some form of pricing, but you kind of get what I mean. But all the big companies are using it. So how do you use an AI to kind of gain an advantage in your own business? I think is something like we got to think about, because there's a lot of off the shelf solutions, or maybe it's something we invest in. I even thought about, and I was talking with the guys at SOFREP, like, can we get an AI journalist to just go crawl the world web and get sources, listen to these? I mean, an AI can be in how many Reddit forums at once, like listening all over the world for potential source leads, right? If you just give it a task like, hey, we want to know, is there fraud, waste, and abuse at the VA? Go out and crawl these 100 sites that talk about, you know, issues at the VA, Facebook, Reddit, all these different forums. And imagine, like, I could imagine a day where you're reading an article in the Wall Street Journal that has been written and researched by an AI, because it's already happened. Like, Hunter, I'll have Hunter send us an article that an AI wrote. I think it was The Guardian gave this AI a mission to write an article of like why humans should not be afraid of AI. And it was startling to kind of read what this AI wrote. It was pretty crazy. It'll keep you up at night for sure.
Well, there's in the publishing field, I have a friend who actually has an AI application that you can put your novel into, and it'll show pacing, pacing, dialogue, action, description, all the things to show this is a best-selling novel without any human reading it, but analyzing the trends and the patterns, right? You talked about patterns in the novel, and then coming out with a score. Here's where and you can do that for, I think it's $35 or $75, and you could put your manuscript in there and it'll tell you where you're weak and where you're not. And so, some of my friends are saying, forget interpreters. We're going to be able to have AI, translate our books in 30 seconds to German and French, and they'll be perfect. Unlike hiring a translator now who makes all kinds of human errors. They, depends on what kind of German or what kind of French they speak. This will be a perfect translation. I can't wait for that, because I'm tired of paying $8,000 for a book to be translated.
Can you send me that platform?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will. Her name is, she's in Florida. Her name is Alessandra Torre, and they have they have a software company that they actually do that. And she's hooked up with a programmer and a couple other people. Yeah.
Very cool. Hunter, why don't you tell the group about your startup and crypto, like your idea?
Yeah, so I guess one last study I'll kind of share with the group is, so I have a crypto startup where the problem with kids these days is they don't save anything, right? I go to school in Scotland, and it's like you get $400 from your parents, and then you spend $400 in the pub that night, like it's out of pocket, straight into your body. And savings, so like it's so important, and it hits you at like 25, when it's kind of like I've wasted these 5 years. So I want to make it fun and an experience. So I'm going to kind of have a grassroots hedge fund where kids can put in like a dynamic amount of money that they choose, and we'll use it to invest in crypto on a large scale, where otherwise we can't compete alone, buying like $20,000 pieces of virtual artwork and reselling it. And then we'll give them the portion of the profit that they're entitled to. with taking a small cut for ourselves. And the way that I'm going to use AI in this market is, one, eventually I'm literally just probably gonna go to some smart universities and find some kids crazy enough to create an AI that does Bitcoin investing, that will look like, send me an alert and be like we have reason to believe that there's a 97.35% chance that in the next 2 hours, Bitcoin will go up $100 because of, doesn't really need a because, and then we'll like go with it. And secondly, a lot of upselling. So they'll invest in like certain events we'll hold for investing. And let's say they put in like $50 and we'll look at their spending patterns. And maybe in the past, they've put in like 70 pretty consistently. And so the AI will probably tell us like, oh, well, looking at their spending patterns, why don't you just say, hey, put another $15 and we'll match you another like 5. Or like put another 10, we'll match you another 10. Just keep upselling. And I think what Mark said is really like reminiscent of that ability of the AI, which sucks when you're on the wrong end of it, especially when it's such an inelastic relationship like Google. These large corporations have the smartest minds in the world that are working to wring the maximum amount of money out of you using these brilliant AIs.
Have you looked at some of the crypto trading bots that are currently on the market?
I haven't done as much research to feel like super comfortable, like having a large knowledge about it, because I'm mostly doing the software side of it. My friend's doing all the investing. But from what I've seen, like I've seen like some stock market bots, and it's a hard thing to nail down. A lot of them look through the internet and news sites.
And
Find certain, like they'll look at an article, let's say about Tesla, and they'll look at the diction of the words. And if it's really harsh and it's really bad, they're like, oh, article bad about Tesla. Let's see if there's a lot about that. Oh, that probably means stock's going down. Like, we're gonna adjust our hedge fund accordingly.
So Hunter, you'll be able to go long and short the currency and you utilize options and so forth?
Yeah, so my guy will be using options and everything, and we'll have a large array of different like risky and non-risky investments. For example, virtual real estate, not many people are in that right now. And it's as safe as real estate, surprisingly, where you can put on your VR, you can go visit your house. And although technically it's like there's an infinite amount of possible real estate, people love these little hubs, which are essentially like, it's like a website you go to that's really popular. But imagine the website, the link is the house that I own that costs $30,000 and everyone loves coming here and chatting because we have super interesting people. And then we can flip a house for like $50,000 virtually. The future, sure.
I'm showing my age. That's a real thing right now?
Yeah.
That actually happens?
Yeah.
Wow.
What's one of the worlds? It's called Second Life?
Well, so yeah, but a pretty mainstream and kind of weird one is Second Life that you can look up. It's not super real estate centered. I think there's one called Europa Online, which is like college kids have made millions off of like real estate bets on there, and like they fight like virtual wars and stuff. It's nuts.
There's a few that are like mainstream virtual worlds that the one I'm thinking of, I just can't. I can't.
I can find a few, shoot them to you.
Yeah, we can. I'll have Hunter look them up. But there's a few, like my friend from business school, Christina, who runs a video game publishing company in San Francisco. She told me, she's like, you should buy some real estate in here and trademark some stuff in this virtual world. And I'm just like, I went to look at it. It was so complicated. I was like, all right, I just have to have Hunter go buy some.
I mean, is it regulated? Can you leverage? Is there like a whole system around it, or?
I don't know, but I do know that big companies as a hedge will go and buy like Coca-Cola will go buy their headquarters and make sure that they've got like all the IP real estate bought in this VR world in case it becomes like the next Google, right? Because imagine somebody's going to create a VR, like a virtual reality that's so incredible. The experience is so incredible. Everyone wants to escape there. now you're in this world for free, but you can buy things, kind of like that. I would highly recommend reading that book, Ready Player One, because when I read that book, it's a novel, but I was stunned. I was like, this is the future of the internet. It's going to be totally immersive, like virtual reality or mixed reality. And people are going to buy in the virtual, and they're going to buy real things. They're going to buy real things in virtual that show up on your doorstep, but they're also going to buy like an upgrade to their spaceship so they could go blast off and conquer some galaxy. It's like mind blowing. But reading that book was a huge eye opener to me, because I was like, this in the next 10 years, this could be like the new face of the internet.
Wow.
Yeah, so my friend actually that I'm doing the startup with, his older brother is super into this. And if you actually look up the Sandbox virtual real estate, that's what his brother owns. And what he does is he actually runs a virtual art gallery where he sells NFTs. And so he's designed the place, he's like decked it out with furniture and stuff, and people like come visit and actually buy stuff from him.
So your fund's going to be a multi-asset fund, right? I mean, it sounds like you're going to be going long, short crypto, and then all these other peripheral assets.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for you. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
How do you think you'll target young people?
I think we are going to kind of preach the reality that like to be able to get rich and to be able to retire happily, you need to save, and might as well save with us and get rich with us with the numbers we have, and have it be an experience. We're going to like throw like parties for people that are like at a certain level of investing and really make it a social experience, which I feel like, yeah, kind of gamify it. Like you see the Wendy's stock and everything. And like AMC and GameStop, if you've been following that. Like there are just like thousands of people on Reddit that are like, it'd be so fun if we all just like gave the finger to these hedge fund guys and just like threw our money at these stocks. It's like, it's amusement.
Yeah, it's got to be the anti-fund.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Right.
So
like yeah, and I'm like non-fidelity. Right?
Exactly.
It's almost like cosplay in a way, right? Where the people are so into it, they dress up in costume. Okay, you're talking about parties, rooms that don't really exist. I mean, there are no Klingons out there, right? But people dress up as Klingons and go to these conventions and spend, thousands and thousands of dollars getting together doing this stuff. It's cosplay. They're part of the world that doesn't even exist, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, what my dad said about Ready Player One, obviously there's a lot of escapism in this generation where it's like we have so many problems and sometimes we just like to escape on YouTube or virtual worlds to either be or feel like stuff we can never be. And it's definitely an interesting discussion about the human psyche.
I see a potential like altruistic bent to it, and I could be kind of off the wall, but I think we're all being taught to be consumers, being on the receiving end, right, of all this algorithmic strategies and efforts, right? But by the same token, you're targeting young people. They're already involved in the cyber type space, but you're teaching to save. You're teaching to a certain degree financial literacy, investing. And I think you can spin that as a generally good thing, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic selling point. I'm definitely gonna take a note of right after this and add it to our introduction page.
Yeah, I think it makes sense from that standpoint.
Yeah, I love the idea because obviously at the end of the day, if we're doing good, they're doing good because we're saving them money.
Right.
Well, and look at what your alternatives are. Oh, you can go into a stockbroker's office. That's a whole lot of fun, right? Sitting behind the desk and having them explain to you what you should be investing in. I mean, this parties, virtual rooms, real estate. I mean, that's heck of a lot more fun, right? Making it fun, money, make people laugh, make people have fun. If you make people laugh and help them have fun, you will make a lot of money. It's entertainment.
Exactly. I love that take on it. That's exactly what we're going for.
Well, it sounds really interesting, Hannah. If there is a deck that you can share, I'd be definitely very interested, and happy just to look at it without sending it out or anything. But definitely very interesting.
Yeah,
I would ditto that, Hunter. If you have anything that you feel comfortable sharing, I would happily take a look at.
oh, fantastic. I'll definitely send my dad updates, and maybe even when we get the apps by the end of the summer, you guys can all test it out.
Cool.
But all right, thank you all for your time and this fantastic discussion. I appreciate it, and I'll give you back my dad.